Many families are shocked when they hear this, that just by applying during the right time of the year, students can increase their chances of actually receiving scholarships. Now, when we talk about applying for scholarships, we're always talking about how can we improve our chances of winning? How can we turn the dial in our favor? And just by knowing the right timing, we can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover when your student wants to apply for scholarships, when they should be applying for scholarships, and when everyone else is, so that we can beat the crowd and bring in the money. Hello there, my name is Jocelyn Pineda-Pearson. I'm the founder of the Scholarship System and Debt Free Degree Lab. And I was able to not only secure 6 figures in scholarships, but I literally graduated debt-free and got an overage check every single semester while I was in school. Now, I don't say this to brag, I say this to inspire. I hope that this shows you that your family, your student, can do the same. And I have spent over half a decade now working with thousands of families across the country, helping them do the same. So to this date, as of recording this video, we've actually helped families receive over $5.5 million in scholarships. That's not including what I brought in myself, the 6 figures. So I hope that this video helps you do the same. So let's talk scholarship timing. Whenever it comes down to applying for scholarships, a lot of families think that we need to apply for college during the fall semester senior year, and then we'll turn our focus to applying for scholarships our spring semester senior year. So if your student is following that timeline, that is what most students are doing. And in fact, that's pretty much the hardest timeline when it comes to getting money. Now, if you are already in that timeline, don't worry, I've got you covered. But that said, when we are applying for scholarships, we want to try to apply when no one else is applying or when less students are applying, because that means we can increase our chances. So what we really are shooting for when it comes to applying for scholarships is how can we apply so that there's the least competition? How do we find scholarships with less competition? How do we make ourselves more competitive? And how do we apply at times when there's just less applicants? Just a quick story. I had one scholarship that I applied to. Again, it wasn't a huge amount. If you've watched any of our previous videos talking about what types of scholarships to apply to, I will link to them below. But as you know, I love the ones that are smaller dollars because they can still add up to a free ride. Now, this scholarship, I applied, it was a local scholarship, and I received word that I was a winner, which was so exciting. It was one of my first scholarships. It was less than $1,000. But when I got there, I actually found out that there were 4 winners, which I thought was so strange because it originally said only 2. So when we're talking to them, they actually shared that we were all great candidates. However, actually, they only received 4 applications. And so what they did was they reached out to the donors and asked if they would just match their own donation so that they could double the pot and give everyone a scholarship. So in the end, even though they were planning on giving out 2 scholarships, they ended up giving out 4 scholarships because there were only 4 applicants. So it was literally a 100% success rate. Now I have a separate video discussing where to find those scholarships. Of course, we all want to find those. But the point was actually that we were applying at a time that a lot of other students weren't even thinking they could apply. So let's talk about when we should be applying. So first I want to talk about it in a context of age. So if you have a student that is young, that has many years until college, believe it or not, there are scholarships out there for students as young as 4 years old. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Now, of course, they are far and few between. That's not the majority of scholarships by any means. But my point here is that there are scholarships out there for students. We have lists for students that are 13 years and older, 15 and older. Students absolutely can and should apply before senior year. In fact, even if we aren't winning the money per se, our students can still fine-tune their materials, their essays, start getting experience under their belts, and that way when it comes to junior and senior year in high school and college years, we already know what to expect. We already have essays we can use. So starting early, we can really increase our chances of winning down the road. One more quick story. A very close friend of mine has 3 children. He has had them applying for scholarships since they were 10 years old. In fact, their daughter now, she's 16. She's been applying for over 5 years. I need to find out how much she's brought in, if she's brought in anything. But even say she hasn't brought in anything, by the time this year, next year, when she's really focused on applying, she already has so much experience with this. So that said, your student's never too young to start applying. And now, as far as how old, when the latest we want to start, if we can, if it's not too late, we want to start applying by junior year in high school. And I'll tell you why. If we can start applying in junior year in high school, again, we're eligible to win. In fact, my first win, I won $500 my junior year. Hint, hint, this may or may not have been the one I told you about where there were only 4 applicants, but still I won the money. And if you're wondering what do they do with it, they just held on to it until I got to my senior year. So don't worry about that. If you're in a situation where you have to worry about what they're going to do with all the money you've won, then you're in a great spot. But that said, junior year, students in high school, students can absolutely start applying. Senior year is when most students start applying. However, they also wait until spring semester. They kind of knock out admissions and then they get into the financial aid process their spring semester. So I'll talk about semesters in a moment, but junior, senior year is really the hot years when it comes to applying. Now, what if your student is already in college? Don't worry about it. College students can keep on applying for scholarships. In fact, I applied for scholarships every year while I was in college, and I brought in more and more money every single year. Even one semester I wanted to study abroad, and I brought in extra money to help pay for that. I had extra spending money when I went and moved to Europe. So it's never too early. It's also never too late. In fact, my last scholarship check that I cashed was on my way home from college graduation. Yes, you heard that correctly. College graduation, I cashed a $600 cash award check. What about semesters? I mentioned that a lot of students apply senior year spring semester. What we actually want to do is really focus on junior year and fall in our senior year. However, we want to continue applying all through spring and summer. So when we're talking about scholarship seasons of the year, there are actually applications year-round pretty much. So when we talk about a scholarship season, we pretty much are referring to September. So September is the new scholarship year. So we start in September and then we end in August. That is how you can think of a scholarship year. So in September, that is when a lot of students, again, a lot of seniors are focused on admissions. They are not thinking about scholarships. And yet there are tons of deadlines. October is a huge month, November, December is a huge month. So if we wait until spring semester senior year, then we've already missed the boat on potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Not to mention, we skipped the semester where there's the least competition. So we have to start applying for scholarships before senior year, start getting those materials, junior year, summer at the latest if we can. Find the scholarships, build the list, write the essays, and then when we're doing admissions, if you want, you can have it all ready to go and just start submitting them. Now, when we get to spring semester, again, there's tons of deadlines. January, February, April, May, those are all big deadline months because a lot of scholarships do wait until spring semester. But again, we already had tons of deadlines in the fall semester. One of the things that might have surprised you was me mentioning that you can apply all the way through August. So this is another common myth when it comes to scholarships, is that once we graduate from high school, it's game over. And that includes specifically that school year. But actually that summer, there are still tons of deadlines. In fact, through the scholarship system, we provide scholarships and our deadline is typically in July. So we do that on purpose so that we can get last minute applicants and give them the money for that fall. So we end the application in July, we choose our winner in August, and we immediately send the money for that fall semester. Again, your student can keep on applying all the way through summer. One student specifically comes to mind. They actually found us when their daughter was already graduating. So they found us June after she graduated from high school. And so they didn't think that there was any possibility of getting any kind of money. But when they heard they can keep on applying, continue applying, they started to do that. And by the end of freshman year in college, so she went to school, kept on applying, by the end of freshman year in college, she had nearly $15,000 in scholarships. Now, this is a family that makes good money. Technically, they could scrounge together the money and get by paying for college, but why would they when they had a student that was willing to do the work? Once she learned the strategies and how repeatable it was and reduce the overwhelm by knowing what to do, why would they use their own money when they don't have to, right? And so she started applying applying for scholarships. So again, she got to nearly $15,000 in one school year, and she didn't even start until she had graduated from high school. So there you have it. You have it's never too early, it's never too late. That's important to understand. We can start as early as freshman, sophomore year in high school, but if I could choose, I would say no later than junior year in high school. And then we can keep on applying like I did and like many of our members do all throughout college. So again, don't forget about the fact that my last check was on the way home from college graduation, so it's never too late. So if you found this helpful, I want to actually give you a free training on where you can find these scholarships, like the one I mentioned earlier, the one with less competition. So if you scroll into the description, I have a free training on how to secure scholarships for college. I'm going to show you specific search methods that I've used, that thousands of families have used from us, on how to uncover less competitive scholarships. Yes, they're smaller dollars, but remember that they add up and they can still get us to that debt-free ride. Click the link below and you can get signed up for that training. Also, if you love this, give us a thumbs up or click subscribe so that you don't miss the next trainings. We have a lot coming out. Every single week we release a new training for parents and families on how to pay for college and specifically what to do when it comes to securing scholarships for college. So that's it. I hope that you use this information so that you can start applying. Don't miss those opportunities where there's less competition. Take advantage of them. Have your student apply when no one else is applying, and that way, just by submitting an application, they are already having a higher chance of receiving scholarships for college. I will see you in the next video.